Baby bus!
Let's go, Sheriff Labrador!
The harmful water fountain. One evening, Sheriff Labrador received an emergency call from Mr. Buffalo.
Hello, Sheriff Labrador. I want to report a case. A porcupine has committed a crime in broad daylight. He beat up my poor little buffalo, who then fainted. The ambulance just left not long ago. My wife has gone with my son to the hospital. Sheriff Labrador, hurry over and catch that bad porcupine!
What? Porcupine attacked your son? I'll be right there.
Sheriff Labrador slammed the phone down and rushed to the park with Officer Doberman. They had just walked through the entrance to the park when they saw Mr. Buffalo and Porcupine tugging at each other's collars not far away.
Oh no! Officer Doberman, let's separate them.
Sheriff Labrador and Officer Doberman needed much effort to finally separate Mr. Buffalo and Porcupine.
Whew. Okay now, spill it. What actually happened?
Let me tell you. Today, my wife and I took our son to play here in Forest Park. My son was playing very happily. Who would have imagined? We looked away for a while, and the next thing we knew, my son had passed out on the ground. At that time, only Porcupine was beside him. It must have been him. He must be the one who beat up my son and caused him to faint.
Porcupine was anxious after he heard Buffalo Dad's words.
Humph! Nonsense! Which eye of yours saw me hitting your son? Sheriff Labrador, you must be my judge. I was just passing by. I've really been wronged.
The crowd around them began to discuss animatedly.
Hey, I saw everything. Little Buffalo fell over by himself. Mr. Porcupine didn't do anything at all.
Yes, he was all right at first. Then suddenly, he fell down all by himself.
Oh dear, is he ill?
Sheriff Labrador frowned and coughed loudly a couple of times.
Please, be quiet. There is no case Sheriff Labrador can't solve. I'll find out the truth soon.
Sheriff Labrador observed the surroundings and asked,
Buffalo Dad, where did little Buffalo faint?
Oh, Sheriff Labrador, follow me!
Saying that, Buffalo Dad brought Sheriff Labrador to the side of a fountain. The ground was still wet.
Fountain. Water.
Sheriff Labrador's dark, round eyes suddenly lit up. He asked quickly,
When little Buffalo fainted, was he soaking wet?
Yes! How did you know?
I think I know who the culprit is.
Sheriff Labrador held his chin in thought for a while. He turned to Officer Doberman.
Officer Doberman, please go to the store nearby and buy a watermelon.
Baffled, Officer Doberman stared at the sheriff in disbelief.
What? Sheriff Labrador? You want to eat a watermelon at this time?
You'll understand later. Go get the watermelon.
Not long after, Officer Doberman came back carrying a huge watermelon. Sheriff Labrador first asked the park manager to turn off the water fountain. Then, he put the huge watermelon carefully on one of the water spouts in the middle of the fountain.
I'm going to do an experiment now. Watch carefully, everyone.
Sheriff Labrador asked the park manager to turn the fountain on. They saw that the water columns spraying out from the fountain cleanly split the watermelon into two halves. The chopped watermelon spun a few times in the air before falling heavily on the ground.
Oh, dear! That's scary.
Wow! The water columns from the fountain actually split the watermelon in two!
The crowd looked at the watermelon chopped into two halves and walked away from the fountain in fright.
I believe everyone has seen the power of the fountain. That was the real culprit that caused little Buffalo to faint.
At that moment, Mr. Buffalo suddenly came forward.
Sheriff Labrador? My wife just called. She said our son had come around. My son said himself that he played with the water fountain and was hurt by the water flow. The pain caused him to faint. But I still can't figure it out. Why is the water fountain so scary?
Don't belittle the impact force of the fountain. The water columns sprayed out by the fountain are high-pressure water columns with a lot of power. The watermelon is the best evidence of this. On top of that, playing in the fountain also carries the danger of getting an electric shock. Never play in a fountain. Mini episode on safety. Woof!
Wow, what a beautiful fountain. Little Buffalo, let's go play in the water.
No. Water fountains are very dangerous. We can't go in and play.
Huh? Isn't it just water? What's the big deal?
Little Buffalo is right. Sheriff Labrador's safety talk. Fountains shoot out columns of water that are pressurized and very powerful. These water columns can split a watermelon in 2 halves. Don't belittle their power. Children's skin and organs are weaker and cannot withstand such an impact force. There's also a danger of getting an electric shock inside a fountain. So friends, in the summertime, it's better for us to admire fountains from a distance. Woof!
Let's go, Sheriff Labrador!
The Wolf brothers fight.
Oh, wow! The air is very fresh after the rain. Woo!
Sheriff Labrador opened up the windows in Forest Police Station, breathing in the fresh air.
Oh! The whole town looks like it's been washed. It's so clean. Aren't those the Wolf brothers?
As Officer Doberman was leaning on the windowsill, he saw 2 wolves running toward Forest Police Station.
You! Stop right there!
The younger wolf's face was swollen like a balloon. He was being chased and beaten by his older brother. He stumbled into the Forest Police Station.
Oh, Sheriff Labrador, help! Oh!
Soon after, the older wolf followed his brother into the police station.
Sheriff Labrador, you be our judge. Is it right for a younger brother to beat up his older brother?
Well, it's also not right for an older brother to beat up the younger brother. Tell me, why are you fighting?
I'm so angry, Sheriff Labrador. My brother is rebelling against me. He hit me.
Saying that, the older wolf shook his fist at his younger brother.
I didn't!
The younger wolf was so terrified he hid behind Sheriff Labrador.
Sheriff Labrador, let me tell you what happened. This morning, we were working on Main Street. At first, everything was fine. Then my older brother said I was too slow, and he came over to teach me. Then, he beat me up for no reason.
The younger wolf felt more and more upset as he talked. He couldn't stop crying.
You're lying! You were the one who started hitting me when I walked over. You hit me until I was numb.
Oh, boo-hoo! I didn't hit him. Even if I were the strongest wolf in the world, I wouldn't dare hit my older brother.
Hold on. What kind of work were you doing?
Putting up flyers. Our Grey Wolf restaurant is about to open. My brother said that we should publicize on Forest Main Street.
Putting up flyers? Don't tell me you were sticking them to telephone poles.
Sheriff Labrador's expression suddenly turned serious.
Huh? Sheriff Labrador, how did you know? Telephone poles are the most eye-catching spot for flyers. That is effective advertising.
Well, I think I know who hit you.
Sheriff Labrador's dark, round eyes suddenly lit up.
Huh? My younger brother didn't hit me?
Sheriff Labrador whispered something to Officer Doberman, then waved to the Wolf brothers.
Officer Doberman, we're gonna go to the telephone pole. Come on, show me the place where you were sticking flyers. The culprit who hit you is there.
Sheriff Labrador, Officer Doberman, and the Wolf brothers went to Forest Main Street together. Sheriff Labrador looked around and saw a telephone pole on the side of the street. There was a flyer advertising the Grey Wolf restaurant stuck to it.
Look, this is what hit you. The telephone pole.
What? The telephone pole? Sheriff Labrador, that's very funny.
Oh, I'm not joking. Officer Doberman, use the current detector to test this telephone pole.
Copy that, Sheriff.
Officer Doberman took out a current detector from the police car and tested the telephone pole. The current detector lit up.
Oh dear! Sheriff Labrador, this telephone pole is discharging a strong current.
As I expected. Wolf, this telephone pole is charged with electricity. You felt your body beaten and going numb because you got an electric shock.
Electric shock? Why is the telephone pole charged with electricity?
Telephone poles are not usually charged with electricity, but it rained this morning. If the telephone pole gets wet from the rain, they can be charged with electricity from the leakage. Stepping on puddles around the telephone pole or touching the wet telephone pole by mistake can result in electric shock. In non-serious cases, you may feel numb. But in serious cases, your life could be in danger.
Oh dear! This is very dangerous! I nearly lost my life!
Oh, bro! See? I really didn't hit you!
Oh! But I did hit you! Will you forgive me?
Yes, we're brothers after all.
The Wolf brothers hugged each other warmly.
We've clarified things now. Please come to the police station with me.
Huh? But we've made up with each other. we won't trouble you anymore.
Sticking flyers on telephone poles without authorization, not to mention hitting others, is unlawful behavior.
What?
Mini episode on safety. Woof!
La la la. It feels so cool after the rain. I won't be hot hanging up flyers.
Hey, bro! Look, there's someone sticking flyers on the telephone poles.
Hey, stop! Oh dear, Mr. Wolf. It's very dangerous to touch wet telephone poles.
He's right. Sheriff Labrador's safety talk. Wet telephone poles may be charged with electricity due to electrical discharge. Touching them, even by accident, is very dangerous. Friends, when it rains, you must stay away from telephone poles and also do not step in puddles around telephone poles. Never use your bare hands to touch telephone poles. Woof!
Let's go, Sheriff Labrador!
Ace Spy Dog.
Sir, would you like a bag of popcorn? I have caramel, sea salt, and Parmesan flavor.
I'd like the vanilla flavor. Extra honey, please.
The code is right. Hey, bro, I have the secret information you want. Take it.
In the movie theater, the big screen was playing the movie Ace Spy Dog. The righteous spy dog had matched codes with the undercover agent who had infiltrated the enemy. They began sharing secret information. Officer Doberman's eyes were glued to the screen.
Oh my, this is so cool. Sheriff Labrador, we should come up with codes to use ourselves.
Officer Doberman was talking enthusiastically, but Sheriff Labrador was sitting beside him, about to fall asleep.
How can there be a spy buying popcorn from an undercover agent and matching codes in the bathroom? Oh, this plot is so unrealistic. Woof. Phew.
Hey, Sheriff Labrador, how can you fall asleep? I've saved up a day's worth of meal money to buy these movie tickets.
At that moment, a mole suddenly appeared in the empty seat beside Officer Doberman. The mole sat down, but he didn't watch the movie. He looked here and there, and his attention soon focused on Officer Doberman.
Sir, would you like a bag of popcorn? I have caramel, sea salt, and Parmesan flavors.
The mole lowered his voice, his two little eyes moving around like a spinning top.
Huh, are you selling popcorn? I don't want any. Wait, aren't those the lines from the movie just now? Don't tell me you want to act in a movie with me.
Officer Doberman's enthusiasm was aroused at once, and he imitated the lines in the movie.
I'd like the vanilla flavor. Extra honey, please.
Yes, the code is right.
Mole jumped up with excitement. He couldn't wait to take out a big sack from his bag. He pulled open the sack and swung it in front of Officer Doberman. The sack was full of cell phones.
Fire, I finally found you.
Buyer?
Oh dear, don't you know? I had a hard time stealing such a big sack of cell phones. I was very nervous carrying this sack around. I didn't even dare talk to anyone.
Stolen cell phones?
Yes, thanks to this contact code. Okay now, cash on delivery. Give me your money.
Oh, dear. What are you talking about?
Officer Doberman looked at Mole, baffled.
Aren't we acting like the movies?
The snoring Sheriff Labrador woke up. He listened to Officer Doberman and Mole's conversation. He looked at the sack of cell phones. His dark, round eyes suddenly lit up.
Officer Doberman, catch him! This mole is a cell phone thief. He's looking for contact in the movie theater to carry out transactions with animals who are buying his stolen goods.
Oh no, it's Sheriff Labrador. How did you break the code I've worked 3 days to come up with?
We didn't break your code. Your code happened to be the same as the lines in the movie.
What? How did this happen? Run!
Seeing Sheriff Labrador, Mole hopped up in fear, scampering toward the movie theater lobby.
I've got to get away! It's dark in here. You won't be able to find me.
Oh dear! Sheriff Labrador, he's running! Let's chase him!
Officer Doberman finally came to his senses and tried to run after Mole. The calm Sheriff Labrador stopped him.
No, we can just guard the 2 emergency exits.
Sheriff Labrador and Officer Doberman arrived at the emergency exits. They heard Mole's screams coming now and again from the dark movie theater hall.
Ouch! Oh, my head! Oh, it hurts so bad. Where did this wall come from? Ah, it's an elephant's leg. I must run! Whoa! What's this under my feet? Oh, it's so slippery! Wow! Ah! Oh!
A scream could be heard in the distance. In the dark movie theater, Mole couldn't see anything, and he stepped on a turtle's back by accident. This was followed by an arc sweeping across the air. Mole landed solidly in front of Sheriff Labrador.
Ouch! It hurts!
Mole wailed, aggrieved.
Mole, the movie theater is a place for enjoying movies. The lights are dim, the passageways are narrow, so running and playing will not only disturb the other movie watchers, but you can also fall and hurt yourself. All right, you're suspected of stealing and selling stolen goods illegally. Now follow me to the police station.
Yeah, I understand, Sheriff Labrador.
Mini episode on safety. Woof.
Dad! This movie is not interesting at all. I want to play hide and seek with little brother. Hey, little brother, close your eyes. When I'm hiding, you can come find me.
No. Come back. Running around in the movie theater is very dangerous. I stumbled and fell doing that one time. It was very painful.
Mr. Mole is right. Sheriff Labrador's Safety Talk. The movie theater is for watching movies. The lights are dim and the passageways are narrow. You may trip, fall, or hurt yourself running around and playing in the movie theater. Friends, never do that. Woof!